I can say that I scored a surprising 69 with Boris Johnson in an Uxbridge sports hall on Friday the 13th in the small hours under a full moon. I'd like to say I'm the first life form to have achieved that, but with Boris, you never know. It's like the captain of the Titanic saying, give me another ship, because I want to find out if another iceberg might not be quite so pointy. She's insane. She shouldn't be let near any camera or any public speaking whatsoever. She is awful.
You're a politician in British politics, but you are, it's fair to say, I'd say an unsuccessful one, in that you've lost 3 elections.
You, mate. Well, isn't this nice?
Very nice.
Ah, cosy. In the heart of London town.
Exactly.
This doesn't come cheap, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No.
That's why
So, you guys must be doing very well.
we like to think so.
Yeah, well, I'd say you are. I've heard of you, which is something coming from the Sigma Quadrant, and you guys come out to us as well. So, very good.
The reach of Politics Joe is far and wide.
It is.
Spreads beyond galaxies.
Get that on camera from me. Exactly. And what's tell me your job title, Ed?
My job title, I'm politics producer.
Politics producer?
Yes.
You produce politics?
I sure do.
That's what I do. So,
in charge.
we're very much on a similar ilk. Do you stand for election?
I don't. I just report on them.
Yeah, okay, very wise. Very wise. Yeah,
maybe less fun.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I'm about to be grilled by your good self, but we shall see.
We shall see. We're actually rolling at the moment. So we can dive right in, Count Binface.
You said jive.
We can jive as well.
Jive and dive,
maybe,
as far as I'm concerned. This is fantastic.
Maybe a bit later.
Is that an invitation? Lovely.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
So welcome to Politics Joe. It's lovely to have you here.
Yes, lovely to be here on your planet on PoliticsJOE. Hello.
We are here to talk about your new book.
Yes.
What on Earth? An Alien's Guide to Fixing Britain.
Yes.
Before we get into that, could you introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. I mean, as if I need to.
Oh, absolutely.
Slightly rude, but I'll go ahead anyway. Yes, hello, viewers, users, TikTokers, whatever you're putting this. My name is Count Binface. I am leader of the Recyclons and your planet's favourite interstellar politician. I am London's 9th choice for mayor, that's official, and I've stood in 2 general elections against Conservative Prime Ministers. And the least said about them, the better. But I think this guy wants to ask me quite a bit about them.
I sure do. We'll get into that a bit later on. But I wondered, you're from planet Sigma 9.
Yes.
How did you end up taking such a keen interest in British politics?
How did I come by Earth? Well, so the thing was, I was just passing the Kuiper Belt on the outskirts of your solar system on my holidays. I just finished a bit of work quelling an insurrection on Sigma 9. And I was just having a lovely old time, and I came upon these distress signals from a small world orbiting a not very interesting star, and it was saying things about some Conservative Prime Minister had gone mad and called a general election when she didn't need to, and this nation was crying out for some decent form of opposition. And I thought, well, I was at a loose end. I just finished my latest Lovejoy box set, which I downloaded from somewhere in the interstellar region. Little did I know it was the same planet which the distress signals were coming from. And so I hot-footed it down, came down, and took on old Theresa May. Remember her?
Yes.
Well, he's in the minority. And hey presto, my interest in Earth started, because it turned out that you guys were using, albeit very, very badly, a system of democracy. And democracy is very, very rare in the cosmos. For us, it's a bit like when you happen upon a branch of Wimpy, the burger restaurant. Not many left, and they've definitely seen better days, but a little bit of you fancies a bite. So, that's why I thought I needed to get involved.
Oh, that's one for all the Wimpy heads out there, maybe.
Yeah, all of those.
Yeah.
All 3 of those.
And they're all here as well. There's massive Wimpy Politics Joe crossover, thankfully.
Excellent.
So 6 years later, 6 years after you arrived on Earth, how would you describe British politics at the moment?
Well, shit show is the obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
But do you want a bit more than that?
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that does sum it up, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
But Well, I think you could pin it down to two major things that have caused the complete schism in your politics, where everything seems completely broken. One, of course, is Brexit, which I did predict would be a shit show, and so has proved, which of course was championed by Boris the blonde bombshell Johnson, who I'm sure we're going to be coming on to in due course. And I would say he is one of the two major factors why everything has gone up the spout in your country. The other one, of course, is Ed the Destroyer Miliband, who on a fateful day tried to eat a bacon sandwich and skewed your space-time continuum off into the direction it is now on. And, you know, the rest is history. Those two, they deserve a little spell in the Phantom Zone.
So Ed Miliband eating that sandwich had as much of an impact on British history as Brexit?
Well, I would say Ed Miliband eating the sandwich opened up the problem. You know, a bit like in your movie Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where you go off on the mine car, and you could either go off on the lovely sunlit upland route to safety, or you could go down to Shit Show Central, right? So Miliband's the one who sort of pressed the junction point, and Boris is the one who's taken you into hell incarnate. That's the way I would see it, but, you know, what do I know?
Speaking of Boris, you stood against Boris in Uxbridge.
I did.
In the 2019 general election.
I literally stood against and next to him. It was great fun.
Both literally and metaphorically.
Yes.
How was that? Why did you choose Uxbridge to stand in?
Because that's where he was.
Good point, yeah.
But also, I should add, I have a lot of time for the constituents of Uxbridge and South Ruislip. Now, am I saying that because I think there might be some kind of by-election or might take on Boris at another election, and I need to curry favour cynically with the good people of Uxbridge and South Ruislip? No. I mean it from the bottom of my central fluid pumping organ. I love them all, apart from Bojo, and having been to the region on 2 occasions, I can safely say I know it better than he does.
I think you're right. What did you make of him?
Well, he is an interesting human, that is for sure. I mean, congenital liar is what I would say, but I'm just an alien. I can't prove that, but then nor can he prove that he wasn't at all those parties. So it's sort of a tit for tat on that front. I would say that the thing about Boris is that he just wants to please everyone. And the reason he wants that is because he's a narcissistic madman who needs praise and needs to be top dog. You know, but which is why when I chatted to him in the only language that I thought he would understand, which is classical Latin, you know, on the night, I said, "Salve, Prime Minister," and he said, "Salve" back to me. And I said, "The die is cast," in Latin to him, like Julius Caesar used to say. He loved it. He said it back to me. And then I chatted to him about my travails with the Lord Buckethead Farrago, with the bucket fake, who was also standing against me. And he was very, very kind, genteel, and friendly to my face. Would I think that he would sell me down the river faster than you can say carry and a little bit of time upstairs listening to ABBA? Of course he would. But to my face, he was genuinely friendly. And I think that is part of the issue. He's a friendly, smiling assassin. I say to him, go on the panel shows, go on Have I Got News for You, you know, get another BAFTA nomination, lovely. Stay away from politics. Leave it to the serious guys.
And then how did you get on in Uxbridge?
Well, electorally, I mean, you know, entertainment-wise, I had a lovely time. They got a Pizza Express. That was nice. And electorally, I got 69 votes. So I can say that I scored a surprising 69 with Boris Johnson in an Uxbridge sports hall on Friday the 13th in the small hours under a full moon. I'd like to say I'm the first life form to have achieved that, but with Boris, you never know.
If you're a fellow recipient of one of those 69s, we'd love to hear from you.
Are you sure? I don't think you do.
I'd be interested.
Yeah, oh, fair enough. Newsworthy, that's for sure.
Absolutely. What do you think of Boris Johnson's political future post-premiership?
Well, that's a good one, because it's all up for debate at the moment, isn't it? I was reading an Earth article about where he might do the chicken run. Yes? From Uxbridge to Henley. The chicken run, or the shit show shuffle, as I call it. You know, he's a coward, isn't he? I wonder if he is found guilty by the parliamentary committee and they do suspend him for 10 days, because then there will be a by-election, let's be honest, would he stand? I don't think he will, you know, because the polls are all saying he's going to lose. So why would you take that hit when he likes to see himself as a winner? I think he might just shuffle off to a lovely, safe, juicy, rural Tory constituency where he can mount the next leg of his ability, his apparent ability to fuck your country right up. But it's all in the name of his career.
I think what's interesting is when you go to these safer Tory seats and speak to voters, they seem to think that Boris was stabbed in the back. And so
Yeah.
I think you're right, quite right. I think he probably would get voted in a safer Tory seat.
Yes. No, I see. I disagree. I don't think he was stabbed in the back. I think he was stabbed in the front 50-odd times by members of his own cabinet who got sick of him. And then because of all his ridiculous things he got up to, not just the parties, but we must not forget, this is the guy who hired Chris Pincher, Pincher by name, Pincher by nature, yeah, to be a whip, even though he knew what he was like. This guy's still an MP, by the way. Now, that's some kind of scandal. I say he needs to get in the bin. Not this bin, just get in the bin, scumbag. And that is why his MPs got sick of him. It wasn't even the parties, was it? No. So I say Boris Johnson stabbed himself in the front several, and probably the back and the side, all sorts of places several times. It's his own fault because ultimately he was useless as a Prime Minister. But that's not going to stop him trying again. It's not going to stop Liz Truss trying again, is it?
No, she's on a redemption tour at the moment.
No, the loser to the lettuce on a redemption tour. You know what she's like? It's like the captain of the Titanic saying, give me another ship because I want to find out if another iceberg might not be quite so pointy. She's insane. She shouldn't be let near any camera or any public speaking whatsoever. She is awful.
We'll come to the current Prime Minister now. It's become tradition for you to stand against Prime Ministers
Yes.
at general elections. Are you going to stand in Richmond?
Oh, you want a little scoop here?
A wee
do
scoop
you?
would be great, yeah.
You want to know what's going on? I mean, this is very presumptuous of you. Viewers, this is very funny, you see. PoliticsJOE seem to have it in their heads that come the next general election that Rishi Sunak will still be Prime Minister. But that would be unprecedented, wouldn't it?
Probably.
For a Tory Prime Minister to last more than about 6 months. So you watch this space. Who knows? But if he is Prime Minister, I'm not going to lie. I've scoped out the Richmond, Yorkshire area. Used to be represented by William Hague. So, you know, they'll take anyone. So we never know. But the great thing is that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, wouldn't you say? And my first mission, because of your system, I can't just go and become Prime Minister. I mean, Lord Protector would be great, wouldn't it? Just get me in. I'll sort it out. But if I'm playing by your rules, first I have to become a backbench MP. And so I've spoken to some of them. I had a lovely chat with Martin Bell. Do you remember him?
I don't actually.
No, you're too young.
I think I might be.
Right, I'll tell you. He was a human who wore a white suit.
Yes,
not
I do
a
know
grey
Martin Bell.
one. Yeah,
Yes.
he used to be a BBC guy, so Elon Musk would have hated him. And he stood against Neil Hamilton, who's sort of famous as a sort of pantomime character, or UKIPper, as they're technically known. And Martin won that, and we had a lovely chat. I was picking his brains about how to stand. And he said, as well as loving CFAX, which I'm going to bring back, watch this space, he said to me, you know, look for the backbenchers who you could take down. You know, like if Hancock was standing again, I think I'd have a good chance. But there are others. So I really am spoiled. But, you know, Rishi, little Rishi, does look quite appetizing.
We'll see. So you, in your book, you've written quite an expansive manifesto.
Yes.
In the book, covering all areas of kind of British life in ways you'd like to improve it. What would you say are the main, what are the top points in your manifesto that you'd want to get across in a Cliff Notes almost guide?
Well, I mean, you know, I can't pick and choose in the sense that all my policies are wondrous and brilliant, and not only should you vote for them, you should buy the book as well, because
Absolutely.
let's be honest, That's part of the reason I'm here. It's not the only reason I'm here. It's part of the reason I'm here. I've got to raise funds for my next battle. But, you know, I stand by my tentpole pledges. What are they? We're talking about things like the restoration of CFAX, renaming London Bridge after Phoebe Waller, which is wonderful. What else would I do? I would also make a firm public commitment to the £100 billion renewal of the Trident weapon system. But I would also make an equally firm private commitment not to build them, because they're secret submarines, so no one will ever know. It's a win-win. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that actually is current government policy, and I would support it all with that. As for the other policies off the top of my head, I would ensure that no croissant is sold for more than £1. Now, that was very popular in London, and I want to roll it out, roll the rolls out across Britain so that everyone gets to enjoy bready French treats at a fair price. That's what I call levelling up. And as for a juicy new policy in there, how about this one? I would charge double council tax on second homes. I would triple it on third homes. Do you have a second home?
I don't.
There you go. Do you like the sound of that policy?
I think I do.
There you go. I actually think people would go for that. And then plenty more besides. I can keep going if you want.
Well, what I find striking about your policies is you have quite a lot of popular policies I think a lot of people would back, but quite a few extremely violent, extremely authoritarian ones. For example, you want to legalise hunting fox hunters.
Yes.
Do you not? I think that's maybe perhaps too radical, too violent.
I don't think it's violent at all. I think if you legalised the hunting of them, they'd stop doing it, wouldn't they? They're not mad, unless they want to be hunted in some kind of Hunger Games scenario.
I don't know.
No. This is a very, very liberal policy about deterrence to help those lovely foxes. Because I personally believe that it's a very classist activity and is done by posh people who I think deserve to have less fun. And I want to stop them having that fun. And so a little threat sometimes goes a long way. I don't intend to laser any of them. And, you know, I'll be busy doing all my other policies. So I wouldn't worry about it. Are you a fox hunter?
I'm not a fox hunter.
There you go. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay. And then another policy is you want to introduce the phantom zone, or I suppose the phantom zone already exists.
It does.
But
quite right. That's official, by the way. Politics Joe, accepting the phantom zone exists. You got that there, yeah.
That's a scoop, maybe. But the people you want to put in the phantom zone include Piers Corbyn,
yes,
Donald Trump,
yes,
Matt Hancock,
yes,
Putin, and Bono.
Yes.
I wouldn't equate all the... There's quite a low barrier for entry to the phantom zone, I would say.
Really? Well, in the sense that they're all very low life forms. I'll give you that.
But can you compare Bono and Putin?
Well, they're both small, for starters. I think they've both put out bad records, I'm sure. I mean, I haven't listened to Vladimir's, but, you know, I have listened to that U2 album that got foisted on the entire Earth's population. So in that sense, you could say they're both globally domineering figures. And, of course, neither of them are too fond of paying tax, so I understand. Allegedly.
That's important.
He might well have done some good in the meantime. So, you know, but I'm not saying Bono's as bad as Putin. But if you're saying only people as bad as Putin should go in the phantom zone, he'll be there on his own. I'm going to give him some company. Katie Hopkins. That'd be lovely.
They'd go on like an absolute house on fire.
And I'd happily set that house on fire.
That brings me to my next question, I suppose. You're a politician. You're a politician in British politics. But you are, it's fair to say, I'd say, an unsuccessful one, in that you've lost 3 elections.
Fuck you, mate.
I suppose that's an honest response. Why should we listen to you if you've lost 3 elections?
Listen, you invited me here.
I did.
This is just like Elon Musk in the BBC. What's going on here?
Except I've got evidence this time.
He's gone a bit mean here, viewers. Look.
This is the grilling they've tuned in for.
Yeah, okay, fine. You want some tit for tat. Okay,
yeah.
Fine. Right. I'll give you this. I have been unsuccessful so far on your planet numerically. But I would argue that in terms of poetic justice and morality, I am the victor. I took on Theresa May. What happened to her? Turfed out, complete failure, I'm still standing. I took on Boris Johnson. Turfed out, complete failure, I'm still standing. I took on Sadiq. Oh, no, he's still going. Okay, that doesn't quite work.
His career is going to end in shame in the next year or so.
Well, that's you saying that, not me. But I also took on Lawrence Fox, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
And look what happened to him. Absolutely destroyed, not numerically, but morally, by the old Binny. So, I would say, on my planet, I'm an untrammeled power monger who everyone loves and adores, and I do very well. I'm a new boy here. It's like if I started a new football club, I wouldn't be going straight into your Premier League, would I? I'd have to, build myself up. Unless I'm MK Dons, a bunch of bastards they are, taking the Wimbledon job. I'd have to work myself up like Ryan Reynolds is doing with Wrexham.
Mm-hmm.
Think of me as a political Wrexham. That's not rectum, Wrexham. Very important difference. The others are the rectums. I'm the Wrexham. Bring it on.
As a striking image of a political rectum. I think this kind of brings me to my final question. People always say that your presence at elections is a sign of a healthy democracy, that you being on the stage at account in whatever constituency you're standing in, whatever election you're standing in. And you also made the point earlier that democracy is a very rare thing, it's a very precious thing. Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, you summed that up very well.
Thank you.
I would say this is exactly the case. This is a very, very strong reason why I do this, is because democracy is wonderful, but it's never been more under threat. And I think it is so important that the United Kingdom, for as long as it stays united, but for now, the United Kingdom has a wonderful system, which obviously has lots of problems, like the House of Lords. What a clusterfuck that is. But, the system itself has so much potential, and the fact that lunatics like me can stand next to a Prime Minister in good faith, in good humour, and share the wonders that anyone can stand is a joyous representation of what politics can do for the world. My mission is to say that anyone can be involved in politics, and the number one way to do it is to vote. Because if you vote, they will listen. Old people vote, so they do policies for the old. If young people vote, the policies will have to be better for the young. And I've got a mission and a message to say to the people of this country, use your vote. Don't let those bastards who've changed the voting system with the photo ID stop you. Make sure that whatever hoops they put in front of you, you jump through them. Obviously, cast your vote for Binface, because I'm the best. But whatever you vote, do vote, because it's so precious. And so few countries, in fact, decreasing numbers of countries on your planet, are A, enjoying democracy, or B, even supporting the notion of democracy. It's in trouble, and we all need to work together from my planet and yours to savor it, cherish it, and celebrate it. Think of me as an intergalactic Attenborough, and you guys are the endangered species, and I want to save you, because I love you.
Well, we love you as well, Count Binface. Thank you very much for your time. Your new book, What on Earth, An Alien's Guide to Fixing Britain, is out now. I highly recommend that everyone reads it. Thank you so much for your time.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Well interviewed. I thought you did excellent work.
Thank you.
Even better than that BBC guy against Elon. Top job. And, all the rest of you, have a lovely 2023 and beyond. Make your votes count.